when I sell a pair of earrings for $20 and our competition's $80, somebody's just being a little bit more greedy and making a little bit more money.
You're listening to the Unsure Entrepreneur Podcast with Roger Pierce. Whether you're scribbling business ideas on a napkin or wrestling with the should I, shouldn't I question, get ready to explore the realities, the risks, and the rewards of entrepreneurship as we share the stories, scars, and successes of small business owners.
Welcome back to the Unsure Entrepreneur Podcast, where we talk to founders, experts, and small business owners about what it really takes to start and run a business. Now, today I'm talking with Chanelle Chalazan, the young founder of Chic and Charmed Boutique by Chanelle, a Canadian jewelry brand offering affordable, high-quality, sterling silver pieces designed for everyday wear. The website is, and we'll plug it throughout the show, chicandcharmedjewelry.com. Now, Chanelle's got a very interesting story and situation I think you're going to love. She started selling earrings when she was just 13 years old. Wow. Since then, Chic and Charmed has grown into a nationally recognized Canadian jewelry brand, appearing at major trade shows and events across the country. The business has also been recognized with the Saskatchewan Wedding Industry Award for Best Wedding Service. It's been featured in media, including CTV News. And in May 2025, Chanelle received an Entrepreneur of the Year nomination from Canadian SME. Actually, I got that wrong. You were nominated this year for last year. Is that correct?
Yeah, but it was for last year. Yeah, it was 2025, but they put it a year behind. I think that's what they do.
That's awesome. And she's also been covered by Global News, City News, C95 Radio, Retail Insider, and more. Now, what makes this story especially interesting is that Chanelle is building this business while she's in high school. That raises a bigger question. What can young entrepreneurs teach the rest of us about starting before you feel ready, learning by doing, and turning early curiosity into something real? Welcome, Chanelle.
Thank you for having me. I'm very excited.
It's fantastic to have you here. Now, if I don't mind me sharing, you are 16.
Yes.
That is fantastic. And you've been doing this business for 3 years.
Yes. Feels like a whole other lifetime of doing business, but it's such a small time, but I enjoy what I do.
Well, you do, and it's clear you're very passionate about it. You're out there talking about your business. I'm going to poke and prod into your story here a bit, but congratulations on starting a business so young. That puts you miles ahead of all the other people out there, old guys like me. By getting it going so early, you are off to the races in a major way. I really see that.
Thank you.
So we're going to go back to kind of the beginning because I want people to hear kind of your origin story, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
As far as I can tell, it started with a simple idea and a willingness to try something new. You began selling earrings as a young teenager, even younger than you are now. You saw interest quickly and you started learning business the old-fashioned way by getting in front of people and making sales. So take me back to the beginning, Chanelle. What made you decide to start this business?
So my dad's an entrepreneur. He's in the construction field. So from as small as I could remember, I'm watching him run his own company. And at first, I didn't really think of him as an entrepreneur. It just, my dad is in construction. He builds houses. That's all I thought. So now when I got older, I understood he was an entrepreneur and that's what he was doing, building his company. And my mom, she was always blinged up and always wearing jewelry like me. She always had hoops or different kind of studs and necklaces. And I think my dad being an entrepreneur and my mom always being blinged up kind of interconnected into my jewelry business. And that's kind of where the idea started. And when I first kind of got that main thing thinking, well, this could be like a business, I started putting colors of jewelry together and seeing what looked good. And of course, it wasn't the best. There was, clay sticking up or the crystals weren't right, but it worked for what we were going for, right? As this newly business. And we first started selling on Facebook Marketplace. And of course, it's not perfect, but women were coming to my house. There was one girl coming a day to my house to buy jewelry, which at that point I was surprised that people would even love the jewelry that I was providing. And it turned into 20 women coming a day to buy. And that's when I think we realized that if we wanted to continue this business, that it could really go far.
Wow, I love that origin story. Dad, an entrepreneur, business owner in construction, and mom blinged up, inspiring your fashion channel that you've pursued. That's a great combination of inspiration from both the parents for different reasons. I love it.
Absolutely. And it's one great duo.
Are your parents involved in the business today, or do they kind of let you be?
So my mom, she helps behind the scenes, right? But my dad's he's more in front of everything. He's always trying to get with the media, and he's not shy. Let's put it that way. He's everywhere in the business. If you see me with him, I'm always with him, so you can't see me alone.
That's fantastic. I love it. It's kind of a family business in a way. That's perfect. So you talked about people coming to the house, 20 women at the beginning, and now you're, of course, across the country. What did those first few sales teach you?
So selling on Facebook Marketplace, it's a whole different market than just selling online on through a website or going to trade shows and connecting with people in person, right? You're connecting more of just talking and then they're coming to pick up. So of course when you're young, school doesn't teach you how to communicate and all these entrepreneurial skills that you learn throughout running a company. So, I'm learning how to deal with people and communication, of course, online and in person and making sure people's needs are met. And you learn so much from just doing things in person, and you can look at a book so many times until you actually take some action into it and you learn, right? And I think just making those first sales, and of course, like I mentioned, I was shocked that people were even buying our products and that people loved it as much as loved it, because that was the whole point of the business. I was empowered by being always blinged up and always having accessories on, and I wanted to share that with the world.
That's terrific. And you are learning through experience. You raised a good point there. I touched upon this in an earlier podcast about schools not really teaching enough entrepreneurship. And has that been your experience?
Well, I just spoke at a Centennial Collegiate here in Saskatoon, and there's about maybe 10 or 12 kids in that entrepreneurship class. And we have about 20 high schools here in Saskatoon. And I would say over 15 of them shut down their entrepreneurship class because there's not enough students interested. And what I think personally is the reason is that when I was younger, I didn't know what entrepreneurship was at all because school teaches you to get a job. So that's what I thought my dad was doing all his life, right? Working for his job. But it was actually because he's self employed and he's an entrepreneur. So I think kids just don't understand what it is. And for heaven's sakes, I don't think they know what an entrepreneur is in general when you're young. So when you go into high school and when you transition, you don't really take it because you don't know what it is.
Well, you know what? We're doing our part to change that.
Absolutely. Every little small step at a time.
That's right. That's right. One step at a time. Hopefully, someone in high school listens to our podcast and hears your story and goes, "Hey, I could do that. I'll try it."
Everything's possible. Nothing's impossible.
We definitely need more young entrepreneurs. We'll talk a little bit more about youth entrepreneurship towards the end, but a couple more questions about your business because I'm so curious. What part of running the business has come naturally to you?
I think when we first started doing trade shows, which at first I was nervous because it's getting my brand out there with you're selling out of your house, which makes you feel comfortable because you're in your personal space. And now you're bringing your company to life at these shows. And at first, I'm a little scared and I'm excited at the same time because I'm starting a business and I'm taking action. And it kind of just shocked me of how it all went. And people are buying at these shows. And of course, it all works out perfectly and it went well. It really shocked me of how that you get that feedback when you first start selling. And when then you get a little bit bigger. So then we started doing bigger shows, of course, and started going Canada wide. And we did the national wide tour with the National Women's Show, and we did Calgary Stampede. And you kind of just put your foot on the pedal and you kept going. And that's just kind of how we did it. And it worked great. And then we started getting more website orders, of course, and getting a website. And it kind of just all interconnected and it worked well.
Did you get to wear a cowboy hat at the Stampede?
I did. Sparkly hat, of course, to match the brand.
The bling. You got to have the bling.
Yes.
So I want to drill down to that. So the trade shows have been, you got a couple marketing channels. You're doing trade shows, you're doing online.
We have billboards advertising with Patterson all across Saskatoon, and we have radio campaigns, and we're going hard on social media and just kind of going with the traditional advertising and now the modern generation advertising as well, and hoping that we get our name out.
A lot of digital marketing. So if I buy from your website, it just gets shipped to me? Is that the way it's working?
Correct.
Okay. Do you have any plans for a retail store or is that not necessary?
So when we started the business, what we first looked at was our competition in Canada. And we had a couple of them, but one of the biggest ones, she's 4 times our price, but she has 30 stores across Canada and she has over 300 employees. And if we look at a smaller competition here in Saskatchewan that we have, she's double our price and she has 3 stores. And their prices, of course, are way more because you have all the overhead, you have employees, you have inventory to cover, And you have, when you have a story of lights and all these different things you have to pay for, and you have theft now, which is pretty bad in the retail world, and you have to pay for all of that. And that's the consumers are paying for that when they buy something. So what we thought is, why don't we cut out all the stores, cut out all the employees so we don't have any overhead, and bring that down so we can be a quarter of the price of our huge competition. When I sell a pair of earrings for $20 and our competition's $80, somebody's just being a little bit more greedy and making a little bit more money.
You're right about that. And I failed to ask you earlier. Tell me a little bit more about the products. Let's pause there and describe the things you're making and you're selling for us.
Absolutely. So I'll just go back from when I was first making it. We had a clay base, of course, with crystals all around, rhinestones and Swarovski crystals, and that's how you get that bling and that shine. So after a while of making it, it wasn't perfect. Like I said, sometimes you could see the glue or the crystal wasn't on right because it's, anything that's man made, it's hard to get perfect. It's just how it is. So when we got that going and we started having great trade shows and people were buying, we met a couple suppliers in BC because my brother's a doctor out there. So he knew a couple chemists, and the chemists went to suppliers. And at first they said, I'm not going to deal with this girl. She's 14 I was 14 at the time, and she's a kid. We don't deal with kids. And my dad said, well, you're dealing with me. You're not dealing with her, right? So then they said, you know what? They started looking at the brand of, we were getting a little bit bigger there. And I said, this is my mission. This is my goal. I have a passion towards this. And they said, you know what? We're going to take a chance on you. And, when we talked to them now, they said that's the best thing they ever did because our sales are tripling with them and they're getting more orders and it works perfectly. And when I started the company, I wanted it like when I seen there was a gap in the market. There was either low quality jewelry for low prices, or there was either high quality jewelry for very high or higher prices, of course, than the lower. So what I wanted was to make a high quality earring and necklace and rings and so forth, but keep it affordable. So it's not too much and it's still high quality and it's life proof. So we made sure all our jewelry was waterproof. So, if you're sweating, it's not going to decay like some other competitions or some cheaper jewelry. And then it moves with you. You're going to the lake, you can wear it. Don't be worried. You're going to the beach and so forth. And it lives with you. And that's what I wanted. And it works great. And, women love it. And we made sure all our products were 925 sterling silver, like you mentioned at the first. So it's still high quality. It's nickel free and it's hyperallergenic. And, women want something that's going to live and work with them. And that's what I wanted for my jewelry brand.
Is it silver and gold or just silver?
A 925 sterling silver, but then sometimes what we have is rolled gold plate over top or gold plating over top. But that 925 sterling silver makes it so it doesn't tarnish or decay and so forth.
I'm reminded you talked about overheads, and I can't think of a better example, maybe you can, of a business, a jewelry store that has more overhead than Tiffany's. Here in Toronto, there's a nice one up on Bloor Street, but you walk in there and there's 20 people just hanging around ready to help you out, which is nice, but you're going to pay for that, aren't you? It's going to beef up the price.
And it's not the business owner, it's going to be the consumers and the customers coming to buy.
I like your focus. You're offering good quality jewelry, innovative designs, reasonable price, wherever you want. It's got lots of lifespan.
And our goal was when I started was with my dad, even he said, for example, when a pair of our earrings are $15, our small studs, he said he wanted even girls who work at McDonald's to afford a pair because not every girl has $100 to spend on a pair of earrings. I know most adults don't have that nowadays. So he said he wanted everybody. He wants everybody in Canada to have a pair of my earrings. That's his goal, and that's my goal as well.
What's your dad's name?
Wayne.
Wayne. Thank you, Wayne. That's great advice for a young entrepreneur. Make it accessible, right? I love it. I love it. So, obviously this is not a hobby business. This is a serious business. It's appeared in major shows. You've traveled across the country. It's got recognition in the wedding industry. You've got media coverage. For goodness sakes, you earned an Entrepreneur of the Year nomination from Canadian SME. That's a lot of momentum for any founder, never mind someone who is still in high school.
Yes, he is.
Take that in, listeners. How did you come up with this brand, like the Chic and Charmed name? How did you come up with that?
So with Chic and Charmed, what I was wanting is something that kind of connects with my name. So I've Chanelle Chalazan is my name. So you have all the C's, of course, right? My middle name starts with a C. It's Charisse as well. So I'm just a C person. So what I wanted was Chic and Charmed to represent me as a person because I wanted the brand to feel personal because of course I'm running it. So what I thought was chic and charmed, right? We have chic jewelry that's fancy and accessible, of course, and charmed, we have all different items. That's kind of what charms, like when you have a charm bracelet, there's all different charms. So what I wanted it to represent is all different items that you can purchase. So chic and charmed kind of just that's kind of how it became of that. And boutique, I wanted something where it had that store kind of feeling, but it felt more inside, more closed, not like a whole retail store, but it's like a small boutique. It's somewhere where you're going local and you feel more comfortable buying and it's trustworthy and it has that credibility behind it. And that's kind of where it became. And of course I have by Chanel on the bottom, so it's all C's, but now we're just chic and charm boutique. That's what we kind of try to push out now.
I like the letter C as well. My son's name is Connor. So there you go.
Yeah.
So tell me, I mean, what have you learned along the way? You've been doing this now for 3 years. I mean, my God. What are some of the lessons you've taken from the business? What are some of the challenges you've experienced?
Being in entrepreneurship, you learn so much by doing, right? There's so much skills and lessons and advice that you learn through it. But when I first started, I think I've learned how to have so much time management and what to prioritize. Because, of course, you have school and you have the business, but you also have your personal life and you have friends and so forth. And when I first started the business, I didn't realize how big it would have got, right? Who would have known that? Why would have just kept pushing through and kept getting the momentum going? But it just worked like that. And I didn't think I would have to have so much time management. I didn't think it'd be so hard with school, but when I first started it worked great because it was so small at the time. But now that you have to learn how to keep everything going and keep going well and keep your customer service up there and making sure that you're still going to shows and I can't say, "Oh, I'm just going to cancel because I don't feel like it." That's not what entrepreneurs do. We keep going and we keep pushing through, but you have to learn those skills to get there and how to keep everything going well.
Wow, so much to unpack there. I mean, that is a huge, we got to remember, I'm chuckling because an entrepreneur can spend 50, 60, 70 hours a week running a business, and you're doing all this as well as school.
Yes.
How do you manage your time?
My dad said when I first started the company, school was prioritized. You have to make sure your schooling is good. And I also want to go into medicine after I finish high school as well. So that was our number one goal. I'm in the high 90s at school, and it's really just if there's a test, you study for it right away. You put the business aside for a little bit and then you focus on the business. And I made sure school was going great so I could work on the business. And anytime, like I said, if there's a test, I'm studying for it. If there's assignments, I'm making sure they're done. And I'm always doing stuff at lunchtime and at recess and making sure that school is going well so that the business can keep going. And then once that is going well, I work on the business and I package orders and I make ads and I connect with customers. And of course, you have shows and it just works all great together. But you have to have ambition and drive and you have to have passion towards a business because if you don't have a goal or you don't have something you're working towards, it just won't work because you have no momentum going for you. And I think my goal was to keep pushing with this business and I wondered how far it could get and how big it could get. And I'm just living proof that you can achieve anything you would like if you put your mind to it.
So while the other kids are sitting in the cafeteria eating French fries and gravy, you're on the phone, looking after orders, managing stock, talking to customers. You're not sitting around, are you?
No, I'm always constantly doing something, always working, but it keeps me going. It keeps me wanting to achieve more.
You've obviously got the energy for it. I can see that. The hours you're putting in, I'm just trying to wrap my head around that. In between recess and, or sorry, in between classes and lunch and after hours. And I love the deal you made with your folks about keep those grades up, school comes first. I think that's really key. A lot of people would lose sight of school because the business like yours takes off and it's successful. That's a really nice bargain that you've made along the way with your folks. Have you got other people involved in the business beyond the parents, or is it primarily family?
More and more my parents. Try to keep it personal with me, but my other when we were in Calgary, my aunt was there, my cousins all lived there, and we went to the National Women's Show about a month ago, and my aunt was calling customers in on our booth, and they try to help when they can, but it's harder when you don't live in the same city or you're not at the same times or shows and work. It gets in the way, but we all try to help out with the business and we try to keep it succeeding. And I think it works well. And my parents are proud, and even my other family who are not that close to are proud. And I think it's just unbelievable how far the business has come in general.
It has come a long way. And what's going to happen in the future? Where are you going to take this business, Chanel?
My goal is to try to keep the business going. My goal is to finish high school, get my degree there, and then take undergrad in business for 4 years because you have to do something before you get into medicine. You can't get in right away. And my goal is to go into medicine for, I like to say, a backup plan, which lots of people laugh at. But nowadays, you never know. What if the business one day it just goes down and nobody wants your product? You have to watch because things are changing every day. We look at this with the job insights nowadays and we look at this with young entrepreneurs how it's down as well, so you have to have a backup plan, and that's why I have these degrees. Of course I can continue business if I get that degree and I continue medicine, but if the business is soaring and it's still doing well in 10 years, great, it worked out. But you have to make sure that you're planning and you have plan A, B, and C in case plan A and B fails or plan A goes right.
That is so smart. I mean, famously, Bill Gates dropped out of Harvard, right, to pursue Microsoft. Sorry, was that Mark Zuckerberg?
But for him, he's just lucky it worked out because it could have went the other way, right? But we don't really think about that because it went the way he intended it to, but it could have went down south fast.
You're right. We got to have a backup plan. I'm going to play this podcast to my kids because they're teenagers and they're gonna learn from you. That's fantastic.
Absolutely. That's what it's for. That's everything I've learned. I try to explain and try to bring on to other people so they can learn as well and they can take insights and hopefully we can inspire other people as well.
So let's talk about that. Young entrepreneurs in Canada. And, I've got a bit of a history working with young entrepreneurs. I was one once a long time ago. I failed at my first business at 17, Chanelle. So you're doing a lot better than I did way back then. But young entrepreneurship in Canada is a topic close and dear to my heart because I think it's a solution a lot of people don't know about. It's a solution a lot of young entrepreneurs, like you said, aren't being exposed to, or potential entrepreneurs. And I think we could do a better job as a country to get young people interested in entrepreneurship. They don't have to start, but at least be interested, be exposed to it so they can make up their own mind. If they choose to pursue a small business like you are, then of course we can take them down that path because there's lots of great resources out there. Startup Canada, there's incubators, there's junior achievement. I was in junior achievement all through high school where you actually get to run a business in a team with other teenagers. You make a product, you market it, you sell it, you report to the manager with your books. You do all the things an actual business does. There's programs by the provincial and federal government that give money to help young people get into business. And of course, there's lots of educational options. So there's a lot of potential out there for young entrepreneurs. And I'm glad to see that you are a living, walking example of success in that regard.
Thank you. I try to be.
Just to throw some stats at people to add some context to what I was just saying, Statistics Canada reports that youth unemployment for people aged 15 to 24 reached 14.3% in April 2026, just last month. At the same time, TD Canada found that 73% of Gen Z Canadians find the idea of starting a business appealing. Now, that gets my heart pumping because that means there's interest out there, and there's a lot of folks out there we can expose to entrepreneurship and hopefully get them to take those first steps. So, a question about that. What advice would you give to another young person, maybe someone 14, 15, 16, or 13 when you started? What advice would you give to another young person who has an idea but maybe is unsure or feeling nervous to start?
I always say, and I've always kind of grew with this saying, is turn any no or maybe into yes. You kind of have to be a risk taker in entrepreneurship. It's just how the job is, it's how we are. And if I wouldn't have risked when I first started, if I wouldn't have even started the company, I wouldn't even have one now. I wouldn't be able to come on your podcast and talk because I wouldn't took that risk. And if I didn't travel across the country and got my name out and did all these different things, my name wouldn't be out there and people wouldn't know me. And of course, you take on lots of stress. You have financial risk, of course, and business success risk. It might go down, it might be a failure, but you just have to try because if you don't try, you never know.
You don't try, you never know. You miss all the shots you don't take, as they say.
And the best thing is what happens is it soars off your business and it goes great and it works of how you intended. Great. But if it doesn't and it fails, you've learned all these life lessons that you wouldn't have learned and you have life experience.
I'm really glad you brought that up. That's something that came up in an earlier conversation I had on another podcast, Evan Carmichael, talking about entrepreneurship education. he made a point that, a lot of schools don't teach kids how to fail and recover from failure. There is a lot of lessons to be learned from failure. It's not a bad thing like a lot of people think, is it?
It's one of the best things about entrepreneurship is rejection, of course, is interconnized into that. And you have to learn how to, when I started out, it seems like for the life of me, I couldn't get an interview, I couldn't get media, I couldn't get into all these different shows, but I had to learn how to take rejection on early. So when I was getting rejected more, I knew how to say, okay, thank you, and move on instead of getting, heated and excited about it. But now I'm getting on media and I'm on articles and getting on podcasts, but you have to learn all these different skills and kind of work your way up to get to be able to where I am today. And you can even go even higher than I am. And the sky's the limit, I like to say.
The sky's the limit. You're on billboards, for goodness sakes. I saw the pictures.
Yes.
Don't take rejection seriously. Learn from your mistakes. Be courageous. Go for it.
Absolutely. And one funny thing too is when you're such a young age, people, I don't know what it is, but I think they kind of make assumptions that you're not able to do it all. Like when I first wanted to do a billboard campaign, I called Phil in Saskatoon. He's with Patterson. And I said, hi, I want to do a billboard campaign and I'm 14 and blah, 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 blah. Right. And he said, we don't deal with kids. How do I even know you're real? So I gave him my dad's phone number and he phoned my dad and he says, I have some 14-year-old girl who phones me who wants to do billboards. And my dad says, yeah, you got it right. And, he talked to my dad and we met him in his office. And he says, once I meet you, you're a little bit different. You're more mature and you obviously have a passion for entrepreneurship. But people make assumptions that you can't do it all, or maybe you're fake, or maybe you're not real. But once you kind of push that out of the window and you keep moving forward, people kind of believe in you and they want to help you succeed. And now we're doing billboards. We have, of course, we did our second campaign here in April and May in Saskatoon, but now we're doing Regina and Calgary billboards. And my goal in the next 5 years is to be all across Canada with our billboards like our trade shows.
Push past that initial resistance and hesitation. Let people see that you're serious, no matter what your age, and they're gonna come around. Do you find people want to help you because they see how young you are, and they go, "Oh, I want to help this young entrepreneur." Do you find that stuff there too?
I think so as well. I think even when people stop by, first they think I'm a lot older, but then we have a sign and it says I'm 16 and it says 16-year-old entrepreneur and it has a little bio about me. And my dad says, oh, just stop. You can always look. You don't have to buy. And then he says, well, she is 16. And, my dad's not shy. He pumps it up. Even when we go grocery shopping, if he sees somebody with competition on or earrings, he runs right up to them and gives them a business card. And like I said, it's just getting our name out, of course. And, when he says I'm 16, they're surprised. And then he explains all what we've done in the year and a half and 2 years of the business kind of running and going. And, people want to support somebody young, but I also think people want to support somebody who has dreams and passion. And even it doesn't even have to be with entrepreneurship. It's what you can think of your own children at home. If I had a daughter or a son and let's say they said they wanted to go into, let's say, law or business or even other different universities in the job world, and they said, I'm going to work really hard in school, you're going to want to help them. And you're going to say, is there anything I can do to push you even forward to make sure you go into your dreams and your hopes and your passions and keep pushing you forward? And I think as a parent, you would want to help your children and other people want to help as well when you're young. But I think people want to help when you have the momentum to achieve something.
That's great insight. I appreciate that. I love the fact that your dad is your biggest advocate,
I would say he's my number one supporter.
your number one fan. Wow, coming to a billboard near you,
Absolutely.
Chanelle Chalazan. So, what are you finishing up? Grade 11,
Grade 10. I'm just going to grade 11 next year.
and the summer coming up. We're in May right now. What are you going to be working at your business? I assume all summer.
Absolutely. So in the next couple weeks, we have a show here. It's a small town in Warman we're going. And that's actually the first show I started was at Warman. So I try to go back and connect with all my peers. And then we're going to Calgary's Lilac Festival. And that weekend, you get 100,000 people in one day. So it's a pretty big festival. And then we're going back to the Calgary Stampede. And then we have a Canada-wide tour with the Rock and Gem shows. So just going everywhere across Canada.
That's fantastic. You've got so much going on. I'm dizzy just listening about it.
It seems like a lot, but it's very fun. It's very fun and it's exciting.
Well, you've got a lot of energy, and you know what? Leverage that. That entrepreneurship requires a lot of passion and energy and enthusiasm. You've got all those things, so you're in good shape, and I have no doubt your future success is guaranteed.
Thank you.
So, Chanelle, we've got to head towards the wrap. This has been a fantastic conversation. I really appreciate you being here. But what's the best way for someone to get in touch with you or to buy your product?
Absolutely. You can find us on our website, like you mentioned, chicandcharmjewelry.com. And we're all across Canada. So I bet you'll see us one show, a trade show. And we're always all over. If I'm in a city, you can always call me and pick up some jewelry and go from there.
Absolutely. Visit the website, support this young entrepreneur, buy some of that bling, and show it off.
Absolutely. That's what it's for.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate all this. Again, please visit the website and watch for Chanelle out there in the universe. For listeners, if you're thinking about starting a business or if you're unsure, I wrote a book for you. It's called The Unsure Entrepreneur. It's a decision guide for people who want honest answers about the risks, the rewards, and the realities of entrepreneurship before they take that leap. You can find more about it at unsureentrepreneur.com/book. There's also something new coming out. I'm launching a newsletter called Almost a Boss. It serves up founder stories you can learn from, delivers advice, and shares resources to help you explore entrepreneurship. Again, you'll find it all at unsureentrepreneur.com. That's it for now, audience. If you're unsure, you're in the right place. Thanks for listening.
That's it for this episode of the Unsure Entrepreneur podcast. Thanks for listening. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss other candid conversations with small business owners. And be sure to check us out at unsureentrepreneur.com.